You know, went down to Havant, went to the physio for Shiloh. It was actually Shiloh's appointment, but I did actually take Elijah with me and put them both into their children in need tracksuits, which were quite tight fitted, so they could actually see both of the boys. And also, obviously, I was available to go through and show them the things that are in my body. So basically, what is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome? Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is basically a cognitive tissue disorder. Now, this is where I am at my not niche of my field. It's not my expertise. It's not my education or understanding, and they're not the terminologies or words that I understand. I'm not medical. I'm health, but I'm not medical. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physio. I'm not a neurologist. I'm not a urologist, a podiatrist, any of these things that are physical body. Hello then, nosy cow. Um, So I was just saying the boys have been confirmed, not diagnosed, but confirmed. They're now the specialist to be diagnosed. But Shiloh on the report that we got. So for those that don't know, in order to diagnose somebody with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, there is what's called the Benton scale. So it's a hypermobility scale, and they do it on a scale of 9. Shiloh was a 9. 9. So he has come back with being extensive hypermobility and also having the bow within his legs, which what I have been trying to explain to everybody since he was a baby. Take away the paedophilia, take away all of the control and stuff that goes on in this world, and just for a moment, just see us as individual families that come into a world that are very fortunate in this time and age to come into a world where we can go down to a local housing office, we can take our identification, and we actually have identification. So we can have paperwork that says this is who we are. So my name is Kelly Cottam, and I have I'm 20, no, I'm not 20, I'm 42, and I have so many children, and this is the identification that say that these children are my children. And I can go down to a council in an area and come to ask to live either as a worker and say, look, I have employment in this place, can you help me out with the property? And they will either give you social housing property, options for private rental, even help you out with a bonding scheme to be able to pay up a bond and help you set off on the way to having your own property. Officially, we come into families. Dad builds the house, mum maintains it, and there is this way that things happen, and we have nans and granddads and uncles and aunts and things like that. But this divide and control, so come back to the divide and control. The divide and control has been going on for a very, very, very long time. The one world order that people go on about was created, like, I think it was like 17 something like that. But what you've got to remember is with each family carries on a legacy. My Elijah's a bit upset because Dean's just gone back to London.
Peter!
Peter?
No! Peter!
As in Peter Rabbit?
No, Peter!
Peter? Who's Peter? 2 seconds, my signal just went. I don't know if it cut out. Oh, you want a pizza? Okay, I'll make you a pizza. I don't actually know if we've even got a pizza in. Do I have to make it from scratch?
Yes.
Have we got pizzas in, or do I have to make a pizza from scratch? So basically, just to catch up the live, because I've been distracted now. No, we haven't got a pizza in.
Take.
Oh, you want some of that, do you?
Yay!
Okay. So yeah, so basically yesterday, look at my son copies me to put his foot up to push the to push the freezer in. Basically, the boys were confirmed, both of the boys, even though it wasn't their appointment. So people need to understand something. When you have a health problem, so even if it's, say, COVID, and you get symptoms of one said COVID, so you have a consistent cough and sneezing. Elijah, pack it in, I'm getting you this. And a high temperature. When you get into a situation, no, it's there, darling, I've got it out, where you are in a situation where your health is beyond your management. and your understanding. So say you woke up this morning and you were riddled with a fever, coughing, sneezing, and you were thinking, whoa, I feel like crap. Now, in this world, we have an understanding. So we have what's called a paradigm. So a paradigm is a set of beliefs and understandings that create a belief system that mean that we accept this as a belief. So we know what a cold is, we know what flu is. Now, one old saying is, if there was a £100 note on the floor and you had flu, you wouldn't be able to pick it up. So if you can pick it up, it's just a cold. Right, come on in, I'm carrying it. Oh, you're carrying it. Go on then, take that one through. So my signal might go as soon as I try walking in here again. Elijah, can you... There you go, sweet.
Yeah.
So, say you have these symptoms. You can either say, hey, mum, I feel like shit. And mum can say, well, I don't know what to do. So Polly, who had a dolly who was sick, called the doctor. So quick. And a long... Am I back? Hello, just nosy cow, if you can just say hello if I'm actually back. Because sometimes I watch these backs and they actually cut out a long time before. So as I was basically saying, we're in the hats. And they basically move around and they live in a community. So somebody within that community becomes a doctor. Somebody within that community becomes the farmer. Somebody within that community cuts everybody's hair. Somebody within that community becomes like the assistant to the doctor, like a nurse. Now, here in the Western society, here in the UK, we actually have a structure. It's called the National Health Service. And we have GPs. And this system, so we have all of these hospitals and we have all of these things which are meant to rehabilitate people that have ill health. So it's meant to be an accident or an emergency or a general issue. So our bodies exist, they age. So even to come into the world, here in the Western world, most people would understand that a home birth is not actually the first thing that people think about. It's not, hey, you're pregnant and baby is going to come into the world in your house. This is how we're going to prepare it. This is what we're setting up. This is the teams that's going to be available to you. And if there is an emergency, we have an ambulance and a paramedic that can take you to a hospital where we will do an emergency. It's set up the other way. So it's set up that if you're having a birth, it's expected that you're going to go into hospital. You'll turn up once you get to a certain trimester, or you have an induced or a high-risk pregnancy, so you will come in under management. In that structure, just to bring a baby into the world. Now, we will go back again. It used to be, get the whiskey out, stick it on somebody's face over there, and then literally... how are my neighbours here? Wow, okay. Say we did have home births and mother say was... how would my neighbours react to that noise? And then hearing a of a baby. What would a neighbour associate to that noise? Unless I went to every person having a home birth, and it was just standard. Everybody knows if you hear a then you know somebody's in labour. And we would be used to that because we would have seen life coming in across the road. We would have seen our neighbours' kids coming in. We would have, as communities, been the ones to take the hot towels over. Do we do hot towels anymore? I don't know. I've never had a hot towel. Have you had a hot towel? I've never been given a hot towel. But in order to bring a child into the world historically, it was fathers were sort of kicked out the room. The mother, the grandparent of, said, husband or daughter would said be the one banging down on the thing, and they would run for the doctor who would come with his little case. Yeah. And then a baby would come in and a mother would break down on a leather strap and they would try and strap her legs up and everything. And a lot of mums died. A lot of women died in childbirth. Like died. Just popped the legs. They didn't make it. One, they couldn't control the level of pain they were going through, because you got to bring a head through your pelvis. And if there was any complications, advanced to today, we can go for scans, we can check even the sex of our child, we can go along to maternity, we can even learn how to breathe into bringing life into the world. We can even have our partners understand how to best support us as we are going into labour. We can sit on a ball and bounce, we can go for a bath, we can have a home birth, we can have all of these options because we have the structures of midwives, doctors, consultants, and emergency sections, and all of these things that exist. So mothers, women, don't have to bite down on a leather trap. Sorry, this isn't relatable to lesbians and gays because you can't do this. And forced adoption really shouldn't be better. And babies coming into the world should be loved and wanted and needed. The reason that adoption first ever existed was because young mothers were coming into the world, or mothers that were not wanted by said partners because they were either married or they were lords and they had impregnated a... Phone just rang. I just had to say, quick, I'm on a live and bye. And the person that was ringing is somebody I'm actually having this conversation with. Is a woman just a fuck, basically. A woman, and I'm not talking as a feminist, I'm talking as a woman. A woman is a body, a mind, a soul, the spirit, the subconscious, and she is also a maternal being. Some people don't have that maternity drive in them, but at the end of the day, she has the womb that will give the space for a baby and create a baby. I can remember when I was a kid, my Uncle John used to tell me I had childbearing hips. I never understood what this meant until going through the relationships that I have and the children that I have, that actually there is an instinctual prime to impregnate a person. Now, when said somebody like me comes along and somebody says wants to get into a relationship, obviously there is a courtship if we're talking historic, dating. Now it's just go on the internet. Oh, Dean's just put a fiver in for my account call. And, you know, there is this mating period, isn't there? So if somebody then turns around and says, hello, my name's Kelly, I have this condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. There is a 50% chance that if you have a child with me, that I will pass that on to our child. If someone met somebody with AIDS and said, hey, if you stick your... I really shouldn't be having signal problems because I'm actually on my phone. But if, say, you know, somebody was entering into a relationship with somebody who could pass on even a sexually transmitted disease, there has to be an exchange of information. So there has to be a responsibility of the person to say, if you engage in this relationship with me, be it a intimate relationship, what's happened now? Oh, I lied to you guys. Well, you don't take it out on your brother, please. He's tired as it is. Okay, where's your spoon gone for your ice cream? Otherwise, I'm going to eat it. What's the problem now? I'm going to come back to this, guys, later.